Number one, we're going to start defending in our games, guys. And so I want you to remember the words of Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest football coaches of all time, soccer for my American audience, who, when he was criticized on his style of play, said there are lots of poets in football, but poets don't win many titles. And this is just a cute way of saying that one needs to be pragmatic. And so when I look around the chess community, I see the same type of poet. People will talk about attacking the whole time, gambit this, gambit that, sacrifice everything. And yet everybody knows that strong players are ones that know when to attack and know when to defend. Okay, so have a look at this horrible position that I was playing with the black pieces. It happens to all of us, and my opponent plays this move, queen to e3, and now it should be crystal clear that we need to defend. No time for attacking, no time for moving the queen to the queen side, attacking some useless pawn. It's completely futile. You should know now that your opponent has one intention, and one intention only. They want to play queen h6, they want to play knight f6 check, bishop takes f6, e takes f6, and when the pawn is there, they want to deliver checkmate here on g7. That's it. Low-rated chess can be that one-dimensional, one idea of checkmate, and your goal now is to just stop that from happening. In this position, the engine wants me to find h5. I don't find it. I play a suboptimal move, knight to d4, and this is important. Just finding good enough moves can be good enough. And here, the idea is to move to f5 and guard the g7 square. And you'll say, well, hang on a second, light squares. You have no time for that. You're just blundering a pawn by playing knight to d4. But this is something I learned from stronger players, which is that we can give up material to disarm our opponents. What if they take? So what? After knight takes d4, c takes d4, rook takes d4, rook takes d4, queen takes d4. Yeah, they're a pawn up. But we have queens on the board. We have a bishop on an open board. It's game on. Let's not act like white has won. Quite rightly in this position, my opponent decides to just carry on the attack and not liquidate. And in this position, knight f5 is very strong. For some reason, I then go against this idea and instead played knight to f3 check, which is another way to defend in this position. After g takes f3, rook d1 check, the king shuffles up, queen d8. We have a rook in an advanced position. However, what we've achieved with this procedure is we have a double guardian of the f6 square. And so now this idea of playing knight f6 check doesn't work because we have bishop takes f6, e takes f6, queen takes f6, just wins a pawn. And so in this position, my opponent just continues their attack. Very typical of low-rated games. They're just going to attack, attack, attack. Maybe in this position, they had to defend. And here they just drop the tactic. You do your tactics puzzle the whole time. You know how to win this game. Is of course bishop to g5. That wins the game. Because in this position, if they decide to deliver this check anyway, we can just go ahead and take the knight. And if they decide to take the queen, we take their queen and we're just a piece up. Now, I'm showing you this because I didn't even find that move. I didn't find bishop g5. Again, re-emphasizing the point that you don't need to find the top defensive moves. You can find just good enough moves. In this position, play queen to d3. Suboptimal. But again, white doesn't have the time to do this checking idea because there is a mate in 2 threat. And in this position, there's only one real move that my opponent can play. They need to defend now. They have to find this move knight to e3 and guard against the check on f1. Very typical of low-rated games. They don't find it, okay? People playing blitz, people playing rapid. They have to play intuitively. Defending is not easy. In this position, they just carry on. Knight f6 check, and now it's all over. Because after bishop takes f6, e takes f6, my opponent doesn't have the time to deliver this checkmate because queen f1, queen h1 is, of course, checkmate. Number 2, we're going to stop unnecessary counterplay in our games. And so when I watch 1200s, 1300s play online, sometimes it's just ping pong. One side gets into a good position, they allow a lot of counterplay, and the other side gets back into it, and it goes back and forth. It's very wild. And so have a look at this position I have here with the black pieces. It's very double-edged. What you could say is good about this position is that I have a rook on the second rank, which we know can be dangerous. We have a passed pawn here. But what's bad about this position is that we have this horrible bishop here on b7, which stares at pawn chain and is also liable to some attack. And so in this position, the me of several years ago would definitely just push. Reasoning in my head that if they were to take, then I could take their pawn and we would have a passed pawn on the queen side. However, if you do this, this will free up white's position and create a lot of counter-attacking opportunities for white. And so the main concern I had is what if this rook gets to a7. And so let's look at this. After a4, rook a1, rook b2, takes. Yeah, we've got our queenside pass pawn, but forget about that. Rook a7 is a big problem. How are you going to protect this bishop? After, say, bishop c8, rook a8, the bishop is pinned. You're going to have to move the rook to the c file. Curiously, in this position, and obviously I don't think this far, bishop c6 is a huge blunder. We have here rook to c7, attacking the bishop. If it goes to e8, we pin it again. And in this position, if we try to shuffle our king across, bishop d6, check, wins the game, wins the bishop. And so you see, yeah, you got your pass pawn on the queen side, but you have freed white's position. And so instead, in this position, I decided to play f6, which turns out to be the top engine move. Of course, I wouldn't have known that, but it's just a slow improving move. We are converging towards an endgame. We need to get rid of back rank issues, shuffle our king across, maybe get it across to this backward pawn, which is forever weak. And so in this position, my opponent plays the move bishop f2, kind of showing you the value of staying patient, not allowing counterplay. Now, this is a mistake, because now we can play f4, which I do find. And in this position, after, say, something like rook a1, the ideas I spoke about above just don't work, because we can just carry on pushing a3. If they decide to take, rook c1 check, the only way to block is with the bishop. They lose the bishop. So quite rightly in this position, my opponent plays bishop takes b6. They have a passed pawn, I have a passed pawn. But the difference now is that they have no time. They have no time to do anything about it. We just carry on pushing a3, bishop d4, a2, the rook's got to move, e5, the bishop's got to go back to a1. And sure, they have this passed pawn on b5, but it's just loose. It's me that has all the play in this game. And so we fast forward a whole bunch of moves, we eliminate that pawn, and you can see what my opponent is trying to do. They're trying to shuffle their king across to try and eliminate this a2 pawn. It's me that has control over this game. And so, in this position, we just got to be tidy. Bishop c4. I know that rook b7 is coming. After rook b7, bishop f7. And of course, the king is guarded from all future checks. And we have protection over the a2 pawn. This game is essentially won. So you fast forward a whole bunch of moves. They're trying to shuffle their king across. King b2 in this position doesn't work because of rook b1 check. Wins the bishop, wins the game. They resign. That's it. Bye.